Harry's Wife, Part 102.90. Sugar Lumps Get Crushed. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We all know that Harry's wife is a divisive figure, and that's often the case with some narcissists. There are some narcissists that are more evolved, the graters, where some people have reservations about them, but the maintenance of their facade and also what they bring to the table, so to speak, means that largely they are admired, well-liked, even revered. Even those detractors will essentially say, no, not for me, but there we are. It might be a different political view, it might be a taste in music or clothing or whatever, but for the most part, the greater doesn't tend to bring about that divisiveness. Your more obvious lesser narcissist, and when people have seen through a mid-range narcissist, are more likely to evoke that Marmite reaction of love them or hate them. Of course, as you know from my work, from the narcissist perspective, they don't give a fig if you love or hate them because you're giving them fuel. Of course, hating the narcissist presents a problem with regard to control, but you're still talking about them, still giving them that fuel, still responding, and therefore we want it. Indeed, there are certain narcissists that positively revel in negative fuel, even when it's challenge fuel. I've spoken before about the confrontational and the highly provocative narcissist that might, for instance, stand in front of the away section, having scored a goal against that particular team at football, and reveling in all of the abuse that they're receiving, the hand gestures, questioning their parentage, calling them somebody who engages in onanism, and such like. And they lap it up. Why? It's all fuel. And even though they're being criticised and insulted, inside, that narcissist is just thinking, I've just scored a hat-trick, I'm ripping your team and you won, I earn millions of pounds a year, and later on, I'm going to go home and bang a model. Meanwhile, you gap-toothed, pot-bellied loser, are going to go on a train, wet yourself because you're pissed, and cry because your team has been completely annihilated. How you like me now? And therefore, all narcissists, even though they may appear to be but hurt, will ultimately get to that point of the administration of control. In some instances, it's shouting back at their detractors, engaging in a display of heated fury because they don't operate with a facade. For others, it's doling out the pity plays. I don't understand why people have it in for me. But underneath, they're relishing the receipt of all of that fuel. The three interactions with the narcissist result in the provision of pure fuel, challenge fuel, and the worst thing, of course, is where we get no reaction from you at all, and you wound us. We want that fuel. And with Harry's wife, she has a growing band of detractors. Not haters, not racist, not misogynists, but people who basically find her behaviour objectionable. Some now recognise that she is a narcissist, and regularly state as such. However, there remains a rump of individuals, some powered by the dollar and bots, and some that are just deluded, having invested in this individual as somebody perhaps who manifested their own hopes and dreams and simply cannot accept that this person that they have admired, worshipped, perhaps even loved in their own peculiar way, isn't what they first thought. There are, of course, the level-headed and sensible individuals who've looked at it and thought, I liked her to begin with, but as time went on, I looked at her behaviour, i.e. the evidence, and realised that actually there was something very wrong with this person, and that their behaviours didn't match up. I didn't like the way they were treating people. I didn't like the way that she was saying things about people, and so forth. And they come to the realisation that this person isn't pleasant at all, and indeed they may even realise that she is a narcissist. In that instance, their view has changed. But there remains a hardcore of individuals who are so invested in this person, whether it's in terms of the ability to keep playing the race card because they see her as a champion of race when all the evidence demonstrates that she's not, or quite simply that they feel that she was the underdog, the plucky biracial contender that went into the royal family and was roundly turned on by the imperialist, colonialist, white racists. Indeed, there will be instances of transference where people who have experienced actual, genuine and unpleasant racism in their own lives have thought that she is like them, and therefore they transfer their own experiences, which are genuine, onto the falsified ones of Harry's wife and feel that they ought to support her. There are others who are quite simply nasty, and they use it as an opportunity to lambast people through the presentation of evidence and logic, and also to engage in the hypocritical and projecting behaviours of supporting Harry's wife because she is apparently hated upon, but then engaging in doling out hate left, right and centre to others. I've explained in parts passim that it's pretty easy to identify the Sussex Squad, or the Sugars as they've become to known, or as I will call them, the Sugar Lumps. They're largely unintelligent. They squawk the same comments. You don't know her. How can you comment on her when you don't know who she is? Leave her alone. She loves Harry. Harry loves her. Invariably, their standard of English is poor. They stand out a mile, and invariably they are not to be reasoned with. What can also be seen is that their comments are more or less cut and paste. There's no depth, no substance to the argument, a little bit like the woman that they proclaim to worship. Whereas if you contrast that with the sugar crushers, the people that come along who advance their view based upon the evidence, you'll see that they're far more articulate, that they actually go to the evidence, that they actually point out the hypocrisies and contradictions in Harry's wife's behaviour to invite the person that they're speaking to or writing to work it out. Invariably, of course, you're pissing into the wind because you're dealing with somebody who has a fixed view and just will not shift from it. And often because they're not particularly well educated. And as soon as you're set to explain, they're set to not listen. They won't embrace the material that you put forward to them. But the contrast is stark. It stands out a mile. On the one hand, the sugar crushers, advancing the argument, articulate, intelligent. Not all, of course. Admittedly, there are those that lash out on that side. But there is a very distinct comparison between the two, which shows with the sugar crushers advance their arguments in a detailed manner, turning to points of substance and portraying the evidence. The sugar lumps, on the other hand, basically just squawk with knee-jerk reactions. And there's no better place to see this in action at the moment than the comments that have arisen in relation to the latest video posted by Variety, which is entitled Harry's Wife on Getting Nostalgic, Watching Magic School Bus with Archie and Hosting Her Podcast. You'll be aware that Harry's wife, seeking her privacy, launched yet another interview and photo shoot, wanting the privacy of her house at Monty Shit Show by ensuring that a film crew and several photographers, makeup artists, hairstylists, etc. were there in the back garden near the lemon trees. This, of course, has brought forward many hundreds of comments, and I'm going to take you through, below the line, as many as I can, to demonstrate how the sugar lumps are getting roundly crushed. Annie Pezentes writes, her level of falsehood is incredible. She tries so hard to seem like someone who isn't embarrassing. Nobody speaks naturally that way. Now her PR agency wants to make her seem nicer and more positive in order to try to erase how obnoxious she has been all this time, complaining and playing the victim. But more and more people know her true nature. Sandy Rogers, it's hard to really know and judge a person when their image is really only a projection of carefully curated PR team, except every new PR team she hires sends us a new version of Harry's wife. This week, it's the fun-loving, Scrabble-playing, Bolognese-making, Netflix-watching mum. I'm excited to watch the next version, with the next PR team when this one is fired. Anyone else feel this way? Of course, this is somebody recognising the chameleon nature of Harry's wife, that she tries to be all things to all people by shifting, that there is no central core of who she is because she actually doesn't know who she is. Julian Bongo writes, beautiful soul. DN, you know what I think she makes best? Word salad. Vanessa Carroll, I love her. What a beautiful lady. Nancy Williams. Of course she was wonderful at the shoot, because it was all about her and making her beautiful. Melancholy romantic. My mum is a narcissist, and they are very charming in public, but behind closed doors they are so very different. They are the victim. Even when they've hurt people, they twist the truth, so I completely understand how the royals felt dealing with Harry's wife. It makes you feel like you're going insane. They just can't take accountability for their actions. Everything is everyone else's fault. It's like this. You want to know why they did something to you as a child? Real, terrible things? Then they start going, no one cares about my feelings, because it's all about them. Then they go around telling people how you are harassing them and hurting them and poor them. It's insanity. I can see why some can't believe it. Even with my mother, people wouldn't believe it either. She's so glowing and warm in public. I do at least feel for my mum, because she had a sad and scary childhood. But Harry's wife, what's her trauma? JR, why is she telling everyone all about her life? Why do we need to know all of this? Snowflake says, I agree with most of the critiques, but have to say this is quite well done if you already like her. If you don't, it'll probably make you gag, as it's so sweet. If needed for a more well-rounded understanding of Harry's wife, I highly recommend 2 books, Revenge and Courtiers, a different perspective, and also look up how many proven things did Harry's wife lie about in the Oprah interview, as that is informative. You'll notice already 2 comments there, which are clearly from supporters, which are just statements. Beautiful soul. I love her. What a beautiful lady. And of course, those people are entitled to express those views. But it's not really based on anything, is it? Whereas you notice the criticisms are based upon her behaviour. There's a greater dissection of what is actually being stated. Matt Stevens, the master chef of word salads. Hadessa Marco, this is literally the most self-absorbed, self-important, grandiose, narcissistic cover I've ever seen. This woman really does think she's the second coming, and the most important person in the world. She married a prince. That's it. That's all. MCM, I cannot stand how she forever throws around Pinterest quotes, thinking that makes anything she has to say substantial and interesting. Can't believe they keep giving this narcissist a platform. And that's the reference to sort of the fridge magnet platitudes that I talk about. Jackie Lola, glad you had such a warm relationship with the 96-year-old whose last years you made miserable. Hani Atan, paid article, she's such a fake. Having to pay for an article to get attention is disgusting. Is she having a middle age crisis? Susang666. Storybots. Now that's ironic. RG. Here she says she studied French for 4 years. Back then she mentions to Craig Ferguson in an interview that she studied French for 8 years. Princess Pinocchio. Somebody else going to the evidence and demonstrating the contradictions that she engages in. Ayub Ali. Heart, 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 100, 100, 100, 100. Love you so much, our sister, Harry's wife. May Almighty Lord always protect you with Harry and kids. Maria. I love me so, Harry's wife. Always working. Can wait to see what's next with Netflix. So excited. 1111, love her, heart. I can't wait to see their Netflix docuseries. Awa Gomez, love her so much. Chris, lovely. IHH, beautiful. Mock, a brilliant video. I love how Harry's wife is truly thriving in every way. Happy for her. Clonior. Ooh la la. Harry's wife is thriving. Heart emoji. I also can spend hours watching cartoons with my nephew. Sarah T. God, I love this woman. She's incredibly kind, beautiful, generous and intelligent. And so strong. Mawanda Allen. Sending heart to Harry's wife and her family. And of course you can see with all of those, they are just these sentiments of she's lovely, she's beautiful, I love her. Based upon what? And of course, The response to sending hearts to Harry's wife and her family: Krishna, which one? The one she dumped or the one she publicly trashed? Oh, the one she's using. Lycia A's response to that is, why are you hurt? Krishna responds, why? You a doctor? Kate C, her dad needs it. He's still recovering. Alba Velasquez Barroso. The new PR is moving fast. Too bad there's nothing they can do to make her look more genuine and likeable. Lady is faker than a $3 bill. Amolo. Love her so much. Dear heart. Her hair looks fab. Maria Mackingday. Love it. Caroline Gonzaga. I can listen to her all day. Ursula Gare, the Duchess of Success. Daniel Alexandra. Why do people insist on bullying this woman all the damn time? Aglaya's Piano. I adore her. Lydia Washington. Simply adorable. Loved her since Suits. Gloria C. I love her so much. SDV Interiors. Why is she nodding her head as if saying no as she talks and always looking to the right? What a strange interview with her layers and tropes word repetition. MVHJ. It must take all her time to troll her little metaphors. High tide, water raises ships. Seriously, she is so obnoxious. Ikonia Benya. I love this. Emel Greaves. Love the genuineness. Monica Herby. She is the luckiest girl, however I hope she will reinvent herself, as so far the facts are contradicting her comments. Barboni Denisa Sylvia. Hey, I'm Harry's wife. Perfect news. My Crown G. I love this. Oobling. Love her. Beautiful, intelligent and strong. Keep on smiling, Harry's wife, all the way to the bank. I hope you make 1 billion very soon. Shell Martin. She looks amazing. Brandy Herman. I love and admire her. BB Love. I love Harry's wife because she loves her black race. To which somebody, Mandy McCohen, puts basically a laughing emoji, and CSC writes, this week she identifies as white to sell magazines and podcasts. David Jackson. Don't know who I hate the most, Putin or Harry's wife. Claire Jane. Harry's wife be like, I'm grieving since the Queen's death, but first let me tell Variety, Vogue and the world about me. Oh, and let's have a photo shoot as well. P.S. Where is Harry? It's always her doing everything. Foggy Quabity. So now she's trying the innocent down-to-earth role, but so ridiculously fake. Does she really think that people can't see through her? Mrs. 2. She makes me feel physically sick. She's clearly changed her PR strategy. Positive conversation game changer? Where's the positivity in the last 2-3 years of mudslinging? Genuinely, honestly. What would she be if she didn't marry rich? When Suits was over, honestly, she's now marketing herself as cute and fun. Her podcast about being made to feel like a bimbo, and yet she said she judged Paris as bimbo. What the fuck? Vlogs by Anya. What is feminist about getting famous because of who you married? Toby Okusana. Love you, Harry's wife. Yvonne Treffers. What a false woman. She is sickening. DT. Lovely hearing Harry's wife's voice and telling her own story. Lynn Arundel. Excuse me, but I need a bucket. This thing is unhinged and dangerous. Mimeen. This is what the world has become. They sell us the bad guys as the good guys. This bully doesn't deserve any of this attention, but well, karma will take care of her in due course, and she pays for all the evil she does and laughs at people's faces. Poor Archie and Lillibut with the narcissistic mother they have, who only sows hatred. Julian Adams. This isn't a put down, but I actually nodded off after experiencing brain freeze 3 minutes in. Hello Kitty. She said she studied French for 8 years in a night show several years ago. Now it's 4. Yikes. She has a bad memory, or she's a liar. Heather Boo. I've never seen her talk without slamming the royal family, so I found this a better approach for her. I mean, lacking substance, but at least not saying nasty things, which is a turn off. The podcasts don't speak to me as a woman who built a strong career from nothing. I never worried about being called a bimbo, and I never worried that I was smart and still feminine. I don't enjoy reveling in negativity. I prefer surrounding myself with positive people who get out and just do it. Pam D. Unfortunately, paid PR by Harry's wife to change her narrative for the 100th time, relating to her bad behaviours towards the royal family and own family, will not change what Harry's wife has said, stated and or behaved. Showing very little compassion towards her own father after having had a heart attack and stroke over a 2-year period shows a lack of human decency. This is why Harry's wife should avoid discussing humanitarian causes, kindness, being good, doing good in the world, when there was not much compassion for her father, aged approximately 76, or for Her Majesty the Queen, who was aged 96. I recall seeing in the media, TV hosts stating on TV for Harry to drop what he was doing and go and see his grandmother the Queen. This was after Harry and Harry's wife were apparently invited to Balmoral to see the Queen when they arrived back in London. The One World event was clearly more important. It hasn't been long since the Queen's passing, and again Harry's wife is doing another fashion shoot. Why? Also, the podcast Archetypes is full of stereotypes and does not provide clarity, insight, or purpose. Perhaps having that meaningful conversation with her father and taking action will be the game changer, taking her own advice. Courtney Taylor, don't be fooled. This is a vile human being and a vicious bully. I guess Variety had to be careful to show her only in a sickly sweet light, as she got the last person who interviewed her fired for telling the truth. Finnick Jr., if you're reading this comment, don't bother scrolling down unless you're prepared to lose brain cells while reading the most unintellectual comments. Anyway, you are loved, Harry's wife. Duchess of Success, we love you, Harry's wife. Justin Barber responds to Finnick Jr. Who's she trying to convince? Her voice and delivery is nauseating. Courtney Taylor, it's obvious that 90% of them are bots peddling key phrases. Wouldn't expect anything less on a publication about Harry's wife. And throughout, you'll see that there are these short statements of, wow, Harry's wife, beautiful, very well-spoken woman. I enjoyed the interview. Thanks, Variety. Looking forward to the interview. I like her opinions. I love her. Harry's wife is amazing. Love her. And then, of course, more detailed comments about commenting on the behaviours. And, of course, World War III effectively breaks out. But it demonstrates that the individuals that come along with the evidence, that understand the way that this person behaves, crush these sugars, who all these sugar lumps are able to do is just go, I just love her. Well, if you do, that's fair enough. But at least understand that you're loving somebody who is a narcissist, a hypocrite, a contrarian, who plays the victim and hates on people whilst claiming that she's hated. These people, of course, aren't going to be dissuaded. And what happens is that if you are minded to make a comment towards the sugar lumps, the best thing for you to do is state the position, detail the evidence, and then not get drawn into an exchange with them. They simply are incapable of understanding. And it's far better for you to state your case so other people reading it can think, actually, that was a considered observation. From some of those that I have read out, you'll see that they're balanced, that they're not full of ad hominem attacks, they're not full of labelling. Yes, there are people that do label her because they're sick and tired of their behaviour, and of her behaviour rather, and the frustration comes to the fore. This is what invariably happens when somebody has repeated interactions, even if they are just by observing her behaviour with a narcissist. It wears people down, and their emotional empathy is eroded, so that in some instances they just launch into insults towards that individual. The most effective way to deal with the sugars is either to ignore what they have to say, or to crush the sugar lumps by the presentation of evidence in a restrained and emotion-free manner that demonstrates that you know what you're talking about, and that anybody else with two brain cells to rub together can see that, and that you can't then be accused of hating or slinging mud, because all you're doing is using the logic and presenting the evidence, something I regularly educate those that I consult with regard to how to deal with the narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.